Very good cool family. Like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have 3 very important news items about our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. When we talk about Barcelona, we talk about history, pride, evolution, a club that has known how to reinvent itself again and again, even in the most difficult moments. And if there is one thing this crest teaches its players and supporters, it is that above all names, there is the well-being of the team. That is why, although many thought he would be untouchable, the news that is spreading across Europe today does not surprise those who know the new philosophy of the project led by Joan Laporta and Hansi Flick. Ronald Araujo is no longer untouchable, and the Blaugrana club has opened the doors to his departure this summer. This move, which in another context would have been almost unthinkable, is today welcomed by a large part of the Cule supporters as a logical, mature decision aligned with the future vision outlined from the offices of Camp Nou. The Uruguayan defender, who was once seen as the natural heir to the defensive leadership once held by figures like Carles Puyol or Gerard Piqué, has lost weight in the locker room and on the field. It is not a question of attitude or commitment, virtues that have always been recognized in him, but of performance, feelings, and a downward dynamic that, sadly, has become evident over the past year. Araujo has gone from being the defensive bastion of the team to a player whose presence no longer conveys the same security. He has had dull matches, costly errors, lapses in concentration, and difficulties adapting to the new tactical mechanisms proposed by Flick. If we add to this his history of muscle injuries and certain limitations in the build-up, a key aspect for the style promoted by the German coach, the result is a player who no longer fits as before in the idea that one wants to build from the Cule supporters. More and more voices are calling for a change. Social networks, forums, and sports debates agree that Araujo's cycle seems to have come to an end. He is no longer seen as an undisputed leader, but as a market asset that could generate significant revenue at a key moment for the club, both economically and sportingly. And it is that selling well in this context can make the difference between surviving or growing. Joan Laporta and his board of directors, aware that they must continue to reduce the wage bill and strengthen key positions with young talent, have made a firm decision. Ronald Araujo will leave if an offer exceeds €70 million. This is not a desperate measure, but a strategy planned with an eye on financial balance and the need to build a more solid, homogeneous, and modern bloc. And the suitors have not been slow to appear. According to specialized media in Europe such as Athletic, Sky Sports, and Bild, both Arsenal and Bayern Munich are ready to make a strong offer for the Uruguayan defender. In England, Mikel Arteta wants a central defender with physical ability, aerial presence, and international experience to strengthen a defensive line that has shown flaws in decisive moments. In Germany, Bayern has been following Araujo's steps for a long time and sees him as the ideal successor to replace players like Matthijs de Ligt, whose continuity is in doubt. Both clubs would be willing to put amounts close to the minimum required by Barcelona on the table, and in the Blaugrana entourage, this is well received, as a sale of 70 million would not only balance the accounts but also activate reinforcement operations in strategic positions such as the defensive pivot or attack, where the team needs to incorporate decisive players. From a Cule point of view, supporting this operation is not betraying the player, but defending the interest of the club, because Barcelona needs to continue renewing itself, and this implies making decisions that hurt, but are necessary. Araujo, with all he has brought, is no longer indispensable, and his departure would open the door to the consolidation of a new generation of defenders with a profile more adapted to the style of play proposed by Hansi Flick. Pau Cubarsí, for example, has shown, at just 17 years old, that he is ready to take on responsibilities. His ability to anticipate, his elegance with the ball, his tactical reading, and his maturity in pressure situations make him a natural candidate to lead the defense of the future. And keeping Araujo on the team would not only limit his growth, but also prevent the release of a salary and economic space that could be used to ensure the continuity of emerging talents or to make strategic signings. Furthermore, it cannot be ignored that Araujo's performance has significantly decreased. His defensive statistics, especially in duels won and passes completed, have diminished, and in key matches such as in the Champions League or against direct rivals in the league, he has not been the expected leader. Even in the locker room, his influence has diminished in the face of the emergence of new leaderships closer to the European mentality proposed by Flick. Another reason why this operation makes sense is the profile of the coach himself. Flick is not a technician who clings to names or past hierarchies. He looks for specific profiles, players who adapt to his pressure mechanisms, who have a good build-up, and who understand positional play. And although Araujo has notable strengths such as his physical power and aggressiveness in duels, He lacks other essential qualities for the system that one wants to implement. Letting a player go is not synonymous with failure. Sometimes, stages come to an end, and the best way to honor them is to know how to say goodbye with elegance. Araujo has been an exemplary professional, a courageous defender, and no one will take away his place in the club's recent history. But if we truly want to build a competitive, ambitious, and sustainable project, we must act with coldness and vision, and this is precisely the difference between Barcelona's past and present. In previous years, figures would have been retained for what they represented, even when their performance no longer justified their continuity. Today, under the direction of Laporta and the demand of Flick, this is changing. Real performance, tactical fit, and future projection are being prioritized, and this is what excites the Barcelona supporters. Furthermore, this possible sale allows the club to gain a margin of maneuver in economic control. Not only would a significant salary be freed up, but liquidity would also be generated to face other signings or renewals. Now, the question goes directly to the Cule aficionado, to all of us who love this club with all our hearts. What do you think of this move by our coach? Here at home, we will follow you with the passion of always, because with you on the bench, we are one step closer to becoming the best again. Because with you, Barca has a present and, above all, it has a future. The second piece of news concerns another important decision at the club. Hansi Flick rejects Al Hilal and reaffirms himself as the leader of the Blaugrana project, an act of loyalty and ambition that strengthens Barcelona for the future. In a context where modern football seems to increasingly lean towards million-dollar checks, exotic destinations, and soulless projects with infinite wallets, there are still gestures that reconcile us with the essence of this sport. Gestures that remind us there are people who place values, legacy, honor, and conviction above the zeros of a contract. This is precisely what Hansi Flick has done. The German coach of Barcelona has given a lesson to the football world by rejecting a multimillion-dollar offer from the Saudi club Al Hilal, thus firmly reaffirming his commitment to the Cule club and the project he has been leading from the bench of the Catalan team. The story began to take shape in silence in the offices of Riyadh. Al Hilal, the most economically powerful club in Saudi Arabia, is developing a strategy to recruit international figures to consolidate its supremacy in Asia and position itself as a world reference club. They have already recruited major stars and want to take this process a step further by replacing the current coach Jorge Jesus once the Club World Cup, which will take place this year in the United States, is finished. The Saudi management has not hidden its ambition. They are looking for a prestigious European coach who not only imposes authority but also has the experience and tactical knowledge to lead a team full of talents acquired through financial power. And the name of Hansi Flick quickly topped this list. The offer was concrete, direct, and economically irresistible. According to sources close to the operation, the offer far exceeded €20 million net per season, in addition to bonuses for objectives, luxury housing, private flights, and almost absolute control over the club's sports management. It was the kind of offer that breaks wills, tempts even the most convinced, seduces with economic power without needing to justify the sporting aspect. But Flick did not hesitate. He did not ask for time to think about it, did not ask for counteroffers from the Blaugrana club, did not make strategic calls. He simply said no, and did so with conviction, with integrity, with respect for the crest he represents and the mission he has undertaken. The German coach did not just reject the most lucrative contract of his career, but he did so with a conviction that moves every Cule who feels the colors. In his words, "My commitment is with Barcelona. I am here to stay, to build, to win. I am not interested in another project. This club has something unique. Here, I am where I want to be." And these words resonate strongly in an era where coaches change destinations more frequently than ties. Flick has shown that there are still leaders who prioritize legacy over luxury, history over opulence, passion over petrodollars. And this, at a key moment for the future of Barcelona, is much more than a relief. It is a true blessing. Because Flick did not arrive on the Blaugrana bench by chance. He did so with a purpose: to revive the club after years of transition, give it a clear identity, work with young talents, and generate a solid structure that allows competing on equal terms with the best in Europe. And this process requires time, continuity, patience, and trust. The same trust that Flick now returns to the club by betting on stability instead of yielding to convenience. His decision, of course, has a domino effect that strengthens the club from several angles. Institutionally, it reaffirms the idea that the sports project has a clear guide, a firm tactical compass, and a leader who does not move on a whim. Sportingly, The players find in their coach a figure of authority, commitment, and example, something fundamental in a locker room that combines youth and demand. And emotionally, the supporters once again feel represented by a coach who understands that Barca is not just a football club, but a way of seeing and living the game. This gesture also highlights the greatness of Barcelona in the face of other realities of current football. While some clubs try to buy relevance with infinite checkbooks, here we continue to believe in collective work, the youth academy, style, football understood as an art and not just a business. Flick understood this from day one, and that is why he rejected the Saudi gold without even thinking about it. For him, leading Barca is not a job opportunity, it is a mission, an elite sporting challenge, the possibility of making history where it really counts. And it is not just about staying, but about staying to build, to grow, to win. Flick has made it clear that his goal is not just to compete. He wants to conquer Europe, return Barcelona to its rightful place, that of football excellence, of titles, of magical Champions League nights, of worldwide respect. And he wants to do it without shortcuts, without magic checks, without artifices. He wants to do it with work, tactics, strategy, effort, and passion. For the cool aficionado, this decision should be celebrated as a victory. No trophy has been won, but perhaps something even more important has been achieved. The certainty that the project is on the right track, that there is coherence, that the correct foundations are being laid for a sustainable future. Flick is not a passing coach, he is a builder, an architect of projects, and his continuity can only fill us with hope. Because there is no better recruitment than retaining the one who makes the difference, and Flick does. He does it through his methodology, through his meticulous preparation, through his ability to read matches, to train players, to convey clear ideas. He does it through his winning past, but also through his humility to start from scratch, to adapt to a new league, a new language, a new football culture. And above all, he does it with a serene but non-negotiable ambition, to return to the top. And now, the question goes directly to the cool aficionado, to all of us who love this club with all our souls. What do you think of this gesture from our coach? Isn't it a reason for pride to know that, while other coaches are seduced by soulless projects, ours stays on principle? Isn't it moving to see that there are people who understand that Barca is more than a club, it is an identity, a banner, a way of resisting the power of easy money? Thank you, ANS, for your decision, for your loyalty, for your example. Here at home, we will follow you with the passion of always, because with you on the bench, we are one step closer to becoming the best again. Because with you, Barca has a present and, above all, it has a future. The third piece of news concerns a major move that needs to be confirmed at Barcelona. Barcelona is taking the lead for Alvaro Carreras, a masterful move to outpace Real Madrid and secure the future of the left-back position. The transfer market shows no signs of slowing down, and in the offices of Camp Nou, there is an air of cautious but firm excitement. The Blaugrana sports management has activated its radar with intensity, and one of the operations that has gained momentum in recent hours is that of the young Portuguese left-back Alvaro Carreras, one of the emerging gems of Portuguese football who is shown for his physical deployment, tactical intelligence, and offensive projection. And although many clubs have set their eyes on the promising left-back, including Real Madrid itself, Barcelona has stepped in with a firm foot and a clear, effective, and well-calculated roadmap, far from improvisations or desperate moves. In the city of Barcelona, a strategic opportunity has been detected that could translate into one of the shrewdest moves of the summer. Alvaro Carreras, at just 21 years old, has already shown his potential in the Portuguese league, and his name is circulating strongly in the technical offices of Europe's elite clubs. His profile perfectly matches what the Blaugrana technical team wants for the left-back position. A young player with room for growth, a competitive character, and the ability to fit in from the very beginning in a demanding and high-level system. Meanwhile, in Madrid, the situation is different. Real, with Florentino Perez at the helm of negotiations, has opted for the old formula of forced bargaining, a strategy that for years has given them results when the economic power of their club was enough to tip the scales. However, times have changed. Benfica, a club known for its excellent youth academy, is no longer an entity that submits to the pressure of the big clubs. They know the value of their youth academy, understand the market, and are not willing to sell off one of their most promising diamonds simply because from Valdebebas, they try to impose conditions that border on the unacceptable. According to sources close to the negotiation, Benfica has already given clear signs of discomfort with the attitude of the White Club. Florentino would have tried to include deferred payment clauses, figures below what was expected, and even conditions that did not respect the will of the player or the Portuguese club itself. And in this context, Barcelona has perfectly read the moment. While some wear down relationships, others strengthen them. While some tighten the rope, Barca proposes solutions. And the key to everything could be in a very specific piece that is currently in the Blaugrana squad, Christensen. The Danish central defender, who no longer fits into the sports plans of the project, has been identified by Benfica as an ideal reinforcement for their defense. And this is where Barcelona plays its master move, including the defender as partial currency in the operation for Carreras, a strategy that not only reduces the cost of the transfer but turns the negotiation into a beneficial operation for all parties. Benfica would receive a player with international experience, reliable, capable of leading a young and developing defense. Barcelona would secure a future left-back with ideal conditions to establish himself in the starting team. And Carreras, for his part, would find in Camp Nou a perfect scenario to develop his career, surrounded by talent in a context where young players receive true protagonism, not empty promises. Moreover, it is not just an intelligent move from an economic or strategic point of view. There is also a symbolic component of great value. Taking away a market target from Real Madrid through a clear, clean, and respectful operation is a demonstration that Barca knows how to play this type of game better. In an era where many think that victories are built only with millions, the Catalan club demonstrates that they are also one with vision, planning, and well cared for institutional relationships. From a sporting point of view, the arrival of Carreras would represent a notable leap in quality in a position that requires energy, commitment, and consistency. The young Portuguese has distinguished himself for his versatility, his ability to close defensive spaces, and his ease in incorporating into the attack with precision and decision. His style is reminiscent of those left-backs who are not content with just fulfilling their role but make a difference. He has the goal, the assist, the overlap, the judgment, and above all, he has the attitude of someone who wants to conquer the world. Furthermore, Carreras' entourage views the Barcelona option very favorably. The sports project being built in the Catalan capital, focused on young talents, with a technical team that bets on offensive play and individual development, is particularly attractive for a footballer who knows he is at the exact point to make the leap to the elite and do so in a club where there is space to grow, not to be just another in a team full of egos. This is a decisive and clear factor. We also cannot ignore another essential element, the current context of Portuguese football. Benfica wants to profit economically from its promises, but also seeks exchanges that allow it to remain competitive. In this sense, the possibility of receiving Christensen as part of the deal not only resolves the financial aspect but also immediately strengthens the team. It's a win-win situation. And this is where Barcelona once again demonstrates that it knows how to read the times and act with elegance. In a summer where many moves are expected in the market, this operation could become one of the most intelligent recruitments with the most future value. It won't be the headline of English tabloids, nor will it generate massive shirt sales in Asia, but it is the type of recruitment that defines a solid project. And if, in addition, it serves to strike at the negotiating pride of Madrid, all the better. That is why, from this perspective, it is inevitable to ask, what does the Blaugrana fan think? How do they see the possibility of incorporating an emerging talent like Alvaro Carreras? Are they excited about the idea that Barcelona continues to bet on youth, on players with hunger and the ability to build a solid foundation for years? It is no longer just about recruiting for the sake of recruiting, but about building with purpose. And in this context, names like Carreras fit perfectly into the philosophy that one wants to recover: young talent, commitment to positional play, competitiveness, and professionalism. Barcelona has fully committed to this bid, but has not done so as just another player. It has done so with advantage, with intelligence, and with a concrete proposal that places the club in a privileged position. And if the conversations with Benfica progress as planned, the operation could be concluded in the coming weeks. It would not be a noisy headline move, but it would be a sign that Barca is moving again with determination, ambition, and intelligence.